Joseph Watson from Las Vegas, Nevada, a fine artist, and welcome to my studio. I've always known that I've had some sort of gift or talent, as well as the ideas to back it up early on. I've always known that. I didn't always know that I would make a career out of it though, but something was always there, I just knew it. I started off airbrushing t-shirts for various cool individuals around my high school. Next thing you know, everybody's talking about, hey, Joe Watson's t-shirts, this and that, so it started to become in demand. So knowing this, I set up a booth at a swap meet and I started just selling airbrush t-shirts, and I got a lot of mileage, a lot of good response and experience. And that's how I started my professional art career. So after high school, when I graduated, I enrolled in Los Angeles Trade Technical College, where I majored in sign graphics, which is a two-year course studying the fundamentals of sign design, lettering. After graduating from there, I went into commercial art, the commercial art major. Got a little tired of that and enrolled in the nation's top art school, which is Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California, where I majored in illustration and minored in fine art. Also had studies in entertainment design there as well. That's where all the pieces of the puzzle started to come together, and that's where I got my skill from. The work I'm doing now is pretty much urban-based. What I like to do is go out there in environments such as places like different coffee shops, Starbucks, whatever, and get influenced and inspired by a lot of the real people, the true real-life characters that are out there. There's a lot to learn from various characters buying coffee, different shapes, sizes, occupations. And for my coffee shop piece, what I did was I would sketch about 6 characters at a time that I would observe, come home, put them into a giant panoramic piece, and do the same thing the next day until I filled up this entire piece with just about 60 characters. Well, being a dog person myself and a dog owner that took his dog to the vet occasionally to get shots, I noticed this poster that hung up in like every vet, and it was a dog chart of the different breeds. And I would see this and think that, wow, that's a pretty cool piece right there. I took that thought and poster and my idea that I always had in my head of what would you get if you were to mix just a really small dog, certain breeds with certain large dogs, that aren't supposed to mix. I've always wondered what you would get, like mixing a Great Dane with a Chihuahua, or perhaps a Mastiff with a Dachshund. And I couldn't find any, go on the internet and find any results of this. So I decided to just illustrate it myself. It's one big experiment. I would choose which 2 dogs that I want to crossbreed, then I would gather a reference for it, print it out, then I throw down my first lines, which is my lay-in sketch. The lay-in sketch consists of just really loose, just having fun with the shapes, designing out the dog to look believable, realistic proportions, taking the best features of each and just combining them into one really cool looking dog. That's the first step. Next is I would do my tighter overlay. So I would take my lay-in sketch that I just finished up, just have that taped down, and put my overlay, just a sheet over it, and just tighten it up. Work out all my design issues, little flaws within this tighter sketch. I would add details such as whiskers, claws, teeth, maybe expression on the dog's face, things like that. The next step is I would scan it into my computer through Photoshop. And the reason why I do this is because I want to digitally paint this dog. The reason why I digitally paint it is because it's a lot faster and forgiving than acrylic paints, and I have much more control. Okay, now we have this half Chihuahua, half Saint Bernard all scanned in and ready to get painted. Now what I'm going to do is select my paintbrush tool, an appropriate size brush, and a nice medium value, like a nice gray, and I'm going to fill them in. So here we go, it's the first step. There it is. Okay, now he's all medium tone. What I want to do now is start adding shadows in this dog now. So I'm going to pick a little bit darker color paint. Let's see, a darker gray. And I'm going to start adding in the darks, but not just anywhere. I'm going to add the darks where they would be in real life if a light source was, let's say, from this direction right here. So if the light source was from this direction, my shadows would be casted on this side. So here we go. A lot of times what I like to do is reference master painters such as Rubens and look at the way that they treat different forms such as round shapes, dark shapes against light shapes, and just kind of implement that into what I'm doing, because obviously what they did worked, so it's good stuff to learn from and study. Okay, now let's get a little bit darker paint now. Let's see, 90% gray. Now let me grab a really big, soft airbrush and just start filling in huge areas of gray. There we go. A little bit of shadow under this thick coat of fur that's overlapping. Okay, now let's go for some lighting on this dog. There, making the lip a little more convincing now. There we go. It's separating from the background quite nicely. Let's get a little highlight in the eyes. There we go. It's looking pretty nice. Now things are getting pretty tight and final. All right, it's coming along. Came along quite good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colorize this dog. I think I want to use maybe a brown, a really rusty brown color scheme to this. So let's see, let me flatten all my layers. There we go. And I'm going to colorize it. Changing it from grayscale mode to a RGB mode. Now I'm just going to colorize it. Let's see. It's too red. Okay, there we go. We're getting somewhere. Browns. Let's see. Go back and adjust it a little bit more. I want it to be a little more rusty red. A little bit darker. All right, it's looking a little bit dull right now, so I'm gonna boost up the brightness contrast on it so it just pops a little bit more. All right, it's looking quite nice. Well, there you have it. A half Chihuahua, half St. Bernard mix successfully rendered by Joseph Watson. Thanks.